Welcome in. Welcome into this moment, really. I've lit some Palo Santo for us, set a little vibe. It is the 1st of January of 2026, and I already have this intuitive nudge and knowing that this is going to be a really exciting year, but also a really big year. It's going to be one of those years that feels incredibly life changing. And it also feels like one of those years where we finally get a reprieve from all of the initiations that we've been undergoing. Because how was y'all's 2025? I feel like from the people that I've spoken with, it's like we've all had these massive moments of shedding and releasing parts of us that no longer serve us, and habits, environments, experiences that just are no longer aligned with us, right? And today, it's been a while since I've created a video or an episode, but today I really wanted to show up and finally share what I've been going through the last year, especially, but this has been honestly maybe a decade long. And this is going to be talking about the year that I completely started over. And the question I have for you is, have you ever daydreamed of maybe abandoning the life that you currently have and having this vision and inspiration to completely rebuild from the ground up in a more authentic way? It's like, man, if I could just escape whatever this is and build a completely new life that actually resonates with me. That is a question that I have thought about many, many times. And it all started when I was out of college and was starting my career and was really like, wow, I don't know if this career is right for me, but I feel like everyone kind of doesn't really love their job, so maybe this is just expected. And at a certain point, I ended up moving from New York to Asheville to be closer to my family. My mom was sick at the time, so I wanted to be closer to them. And then I started to feel like, I don't know if I belong here. I'm not really into my career. I don't really feel like I belong. I wasn't sure about the relationship that I had. I was partying all the time. And I truly, looking back, I was incredibly lost. I was incredibly lost. And then I my mom ended up passing away, and then my complete sense of self shattered. Of course, on top of grieving someone that I was the closest to, right? And I'm sure you can resonate with this idea that when we go through massive changes in our lives, a lot of the times changes that we weren't asking for, we're kind of thrown into this period of questioning and wanting to understand why, and wanting to understand, how can I take this incredibly debilitating experience, how can I be at my lowest low and crawl out of this hole. How can I get out of this? And from that period, I really started to question how I was spending my time and my energy, because I began to realize how short life can be and how meaningful life is, and also how each of us has our own individual strengths, talents, in our own unique light that needs to be expressed in an effort to help evolve us collectively, right, as humans. That's how I feel. And I was just like, I need to figure this out. This question of why, what am I actually passionate about? All of this started to be very prevalent in my mind. But that was happening while I was also numbing the emotions of the loss, right, of my mom, and just feeling like I didn't really recognize the person in the mirror anymore. I felt truly like I would never get my spark back. I truly, like, I would look at old videos of things I would post on Instagram, for example, and I felt so confident and joyful and hopeful and excited. And I felt like that spark, whatever I had, that flame inside me, was just completely extinguished, which is not a great feeling, because then you're like, well, where is my hope? Who am I? Will I ever get back to that? I don't even know how to get back to that. And hindsight's 2020, do I even want to get back to exactly that? So time goes on, and I began to realize the things that I was actually passionate about, through this process of healing and turning towards spirituality and a belief in something higher, but also a connection with my intuition. That really helped me figure out that that's really what I'm passionate about. And this idea of taking such deep care of ourselves, like mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, all of that is so meaningful to me. And I feel as though if we can all heal or be on this healing journey, since who knows if we ever get healed, but if we can all be on this path, and it can look different for everyone, I do feel like collectively as a whole, we are going to heal. So I was like, this is the path I need to start going down. This is what I care about. I want to be able to support other people that are going through these dark depths and wondering if they're ever going to be okay again. And honestly, I'm on this journey, and sometimes, or even at that time, I probably didn't know if I was going to be okay again, but I knew how alone I felt in those moments. So I wanted to do something that would allow me to show up for other people in the way that maybe I was hoping that I could have been held and understood in that moment. Maybe somebody that could say, hey, I see what you're going through, and it's okay to be in it right now. And I promise it's going to get better. And I'm here with you every step of the way. So, finding my passion, beginning to embark on this journey of what that looks like, getting my life coach certification while working my 9 to 5 job, doing product development, and then beginning to question, okay, well, I feel like I'm getting more aligned in my career, but I was in a long-term relationship, and it's like, well, is this aligned? Is this aligned? They feel like my best friend. I feel like we never argue. On paper, in theory, everything was fine. But something was telling me it wasn't fine. Wasn't anything either of us did wrong. That's the challenging part, is we have these moments of, I don't feel aligned with my life and I don't feel like I should feel this way. So it's very hard to get to the core truth of the matter when we are telling ourselves, I feel this way, but I feel like I shouldn't feel this way because XYZ. So that's kind of a general thing of, I'm starting to question my entire life and who I am, how I show up in this world, right? And this past year in general has, it's like 2024 was really the year where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this experiment of listening to my intuition. If I truly feel like my intuition is saying this is not the right relationship, I have to follow that. I have to follow that even if this is the most difficult decision I've ever made. If my intuition is saying I need to leave this 9 to 5 job so that I can pursue my coaching work, I need to do that. And that was 2024. It was very destabilizing. All the pieces of comfort, safety, security that I had, I stripped away. And so 2025 was me really starting over. I am 34 years old. Being single at 34 years old, like, I feel okay with it. However, it doesn't feel like society is okay with that sometimes, because there is this maybe unspoken, maybe spoken timeline that women are supposed to be on. I should be married by now. I should have kids by now. I should be doing X, Y, and Z by now. And it feels like starting over. And there's no guarantee that I'm going to necessarily get exactly what my vision is, right? So a year ago, I've shed a lot of things. I have taken away the things that were misaligned for me. And I'm going to be honest, at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, well, I've got these two major things changed now. So things must magically, they're probably going to resolve themselves pretty soon. Like, I'm probably going to like be thriving any day now. Oh, if only sweet Mallory, if only she knew then what I know now. And that was really just the beginning. That was really just the beginning of it all, and being in this liminal space, being in this space of, girl, you made your decision, you followed your intuition, but you're not going to see the results for a while. Like, are you going to be able to continue to stay on your unique path, even though you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel? Or there's some cut throughs that you could make. Are you going to cut back through to an old version of yourself, an old way of being that felt more comfortable and safe? So at the beginning of last year, I was feeling a little naive, pretty optimistic, probably for the best so that I could continue on the path. But I would say as I started to get into the year, it was really like, oh shit, like, this is not going to fall exactly into place how I thought it was. I'm going to have to do some really deep internal work. in order to stay on this path. But okay, a year from then, right? Like here we are a year later, and I can confidently say, I know I made the right decision for myself. And I can confidently say, all of the trials and tribulations that I went through in the last year have helped me become the version of myself that's actually ready for the life that I was envisioning years ago. This is the process of becoming, okay? So today, that's kind of a backstory, right? Today, we are going to talk through why. Why would we want to completely start over? We're going to talk about the process of starting over, and if this is something that has been on your mind and on your heart, that you feel as though you could live in a more aligned way for yourself, like we're going to talk about that process and what that looks like and how you can get started literally today with that. It's not saying you have to completely dismantle your life today, but you're going to have this thought process and this energy of this is what I can start doing, and things will begin unfolding for you. And then lastly, we're going to chat through some of the challenges of completely starting over and what we can actually do to shift them from being challenges into opportunities for us to show up as this newer version of ourselves. Okay, so us let us get into it. So why? Why would we want to completely start over? Isn't that so difficult? Wasn't I just talking about how it was an initiation period and it took a year at least to even be able to feel like I have this identity where I can accept the things that I actually want? Yes. Yes, it is uncomfortable. And I would be willing to bet if you have a certain dynamic going on in your life right now, you have agreed to a certain career or job, or potentially a relationship, or maybe where you live, or maybe the types of people you hang out with, maybe the types of habits you have. All of that may on the surface seem comfortable and safe because it's what you know, but it's actually pretty uncomfortable, because the more that you continue on with the status quo, you begin to realize how drained you actually feel when you engage with all of those things. And it's like this process of living in Groundhog Day. Like every day is the same. I dread waking up. I dread going to work. I dread having, to ask my partner to do X, Y, and Z when I shouldn't even be asking for that. I dread every time they reach out to me, this person reaches out to me wanting to connect, and I just feel drained. And then I go to bed and I'm dreading work the next day. I dread the next day. That's not comfortable. So it's really a matter of which piece of uncomfort are you willing to engage with? So why? Why would we want to choose between, frankly, two uncomfortable paths? One would be feeling a deep disconnection from ourself and also our life. I kind of mentioned it before, but this feeling of seeing ourselves in the mirror, even taking photos of ourselves, seeing our reflection and not really appreciating it, not fully seeing that person, not resonating with that person. And it's not even about how we look, though how we look can maybe reflect how we are feeling on the inside and how we've been feeling. But this is more than just looks. This is like soul connection with ourselves. This is our energy, our life force, how we feel from the inside out. And just feeling disconnected from our lives. It's like we feel like our life just happened to us. All of a sudden, we wake up and we're living this life, and we're like, is this what I chose? And in some ways, yes. Like, we've made these decisions up to this point, and this is a reflection of those decisions we've made. And that can be hard to look at. That can be hard, you know? But it's like when we're feeling that disconnected with ourselves and with our lives, that is a wake up call. That is a notification from our intuition that there is something that we need to change. And it starts from within. The second piece is simply wanting to experience more for ourselves. Simply wanting to push past the limits of everything that we've experienced so far. Is this idea that in our souls, I think we know that we are meant for something big. And I think that's different and unique for every single person. But life is here to be experienced. We aren't meant to live the same day over and over. We're meant to get out of our comfort zone, to learn new things, to have new experiences, to go through different challenges, to see what we're actually made of, to show ourselves what we're made of and who we truly are. So those are the two biggest whys here. That's the two biggest whys of why it's totally valid to want to start over. So what does the process look like? If this is something you are beginning to contemplate, there's kind of three things that I would say, just to simplify what this process is number one, gaining clarity. Number two, releasing misalignments. And number three, rebuilding your foundation. And these can all happen kind of simultaneously as well. So, number one, with gaining clarity, oh boy, when we are in this vibe of, I'm not vibing with my life, not really sure what to do. I feel stuck. I feel frustrated. I feel backed into a corner. I really don't know what to do. All the things that I love and know, they do look good on paper. There's reasons why I love them. It can be difficult to get the clarity. And what I'm saying is, you have to, no, I'm not even going to say you have to. Everything that I'm saying here, because I don't like to be told what to do, so what I'm going to say to you is, you already have the inner knowing. I guess I'm going to share what helped me, and you can do with that as you will. I'm not going to should you to do anything. You have to do certain things. No, I will share what helped me. What helped me was, even when I was in this relationship and job, I was like, okay, I need to reconnect with myself, because that was one of the big things, is I had put everything above myself. I was working a lot. I was partying a lot. Like, I wasn't in tune with myself. So what I started to do is I started to journal. And this could look different for anybody, but I would wake up early so I had quiet time to myself, just time to connect with my intuition, or begin to connect with my intuition and try to understand what she was saying. For me, journaling was really powerful because I had a record of how I was feeling for an extended period of time. It took me like a whole year before I knew exactly what I felt like my intuition was telling me to do. So I had this record of how I was feeling, what I was thinking over a period of time. So I was like, this is not just a one-off instance. This is consistent, and these are the themes I'm seeing. So that really helped me to gain clarity, but also having a therapist to talk things through with. I mean, I think any other um, source that you trust outside of yourself to have these conversations that will help you feel seen and heard is going to be helpful when you're trying to gain clarity. If somebody's giving you advice and telling you exactly what you should do, that's not super helpful because you really do have the answers within you. It's just helpful to have someone there to be able to chat this out with. Okay, so 2 was releasing the misalignments. For me, I started to look at what was giving me energy versus what was draining me. And it was a long list of energy drainers, I will say that. And I started to take baby steps of like, okay, like I really do feel energized when I wake up early, have time to myself, and journal. And I also feel really good when I go to the gym. That seems to be helping my mental health. But my energy drainers, well, going out and partying all the time, like I feel like I'm allergic to alcohol because I keep getting sick and it just doesn't feel great and it's not great for my bank account. And so I started to question any of these things or like scrolling, whatever it was, questioning the energy drainers. You know, we don't have to pressure ourselves to release all of that shit at once. Like, there's a reason why we're doing those things, and it's necessary to like dive deep into, okay, there are reasons why I'm doing these things. Let me do a little shadow work. Let me see if I can replace these habits with other things. And I'm telling you, the more like just release one, whatever the easiest, lowest hanging fruit energy drainer is that you can release it. And I promise you, you are going to build so much self trust and self respect that you were able to say no to that thing or create a boundary around something. And you're going to start feeling better. Like the energy that you were siphoning with this thing is now going to be like you're going to be filling your cup more. And again, that's going to be building your confidence and your self trust and your trust with your like inner child, you know? So, releasing the misalignments, not always easy, not always easy, but the more you start to see a connection between this thing that I keep engaging with is draining my energy, the more you will feel motivated to create some space from that thing. And the thing is, you can love something, someone, whatever. You can appreciate something you have so much. I can appreciate my job and still not feel aligned with it. That's okay. Like, give yourself permission to feel how you truly feel. So often, it's like I mentioned, it's hard for us to get to the actual core of how we feel because we don't want to let ourselves feel how we truly feel because we feel shame or guilt around it. But that's kind of the key to get to the core truth of the matter. And it doesn't have to mean anything about the other person, situation, experience. It doesn't have to mean you're ungrateful. It's just intel, it's just information. And the third thing here with this process is rebuilding the foundation. Rebuilding the foundation meaning like, okay, understanding why certain things drain your energy what that means about you, what that means about what you value, what that means about what you actually care about and want to experience in your life. Like, it's not going to be helpful to say, oh, I don't want to drink anymore because I keep getting sick and it makes me feel bad and, it's bad for my bank account. But then letting that go and then automatically just doing shrooms all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and this is no shame to anybody that's doing anything. This is just from my own personal experience. I need to figure out why all of this is going on. What from me is wanting to engage with this thing that's draining me so that I can rebuild my foundation mentally and emotionally and spiritually so that I can move forward in a more aware and intentional way. You feel me? You feel me? And this, you know, this could, well, and it depends on what you are releasing as well. But it's like, for me, there's not much else, knock on wood, for me to release besides moving somewhere else. Like, and it's like questioning what these attachments are and why, and healing and seeing and holding those parts that needed that. So rebuilding and beginning to, it's like once you let go of all the noise of the things that are not aligned with you, you strengthen your boundaries for yourself, but also for other people and what you're willing to accept, because now you're showing up in this way where you aren't giving yourself the bare minimum anymore. That was something. We only accept the bare minimum from other people or experiences or jobs or opportunities when we give ourselves that. Like, because then we think if they do anything slightly above that, we think, oh my gosh, they are the best. This is the best opportunity I'm going to get. And it's like, no, you just haven't shown yourself that love, that support, that appreciation, that admiration that actually you would rather have from yourself versus these external things. So when we're rebuilding the foundation, it's really taking a look at every single choice and decision that I make is coming from an intentional place rather than a reactive, fear driven, scarcity mindset space. When we're rebuilding our foundation, it is coming from a place of, okay, I see the vision for my future. Is this aligned with this vision that I have? Is this aligned with the version of myself that is consistently listening to my intuition? All right, challenges that come up. Okay, I'm going to be real. Challenges that come up, it can be lonely. You feel like you're in a learning curve because you're like, okay, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm in this learning zone. Things are not flowing. Things feel a little clunky. Things feel a little awkward because this is my first time here. This is my first time here on this particular level. It can feel lonely. It can feel confusing. And, yeah, I mentioned earlier, but there's not always quick results. There's not always the external validation that our ego seeks that, yeah, girl, you made the right decision, you followed your intuition, and now things are falling into place even better than you expected. And like, no fears coming up, any of that. No. Your ego is like, girl, what the hell did you just do? You just completely dismantled everything that brought us a sense of security, maybe false security, but security nonetheless when it comes to the ego. And now your external reality is like it's kind of like I kind of felt shunned. I kind of felt shunned by my external reality. Like there were little glimmers of hope, of course, throughout the way last year, but for the most part, I was really like, okay, I'm just going to surrender and no, I'm not going to get external validation. I've got to muster up that validation intrinsically. Somehow, day by day, I had to find ways that I was proud of myself. So this is kind of like the antidote, the alchemization of this particular challenge of feeling lonely, like you're awkward and not fully knowing exactly what to do yet. Like that's part of the process. This challenge is really saying, girl, yep, you really kind of blew up your life there. And we're going to prepare you, right? Like you are about to be prepared to enter into your next phase. But before you can get to your next phase, before you can get to your next level, we got to come back to ourselves. We got to come back to releasing this need for other people to say, yep, you're doing a good job. Yep, you're on the right path. Because the whole point is to not give away your power to other people and have other people say, yes, you're going on the right path. The whole point is for you to say you're going on the right path, and nobody else can say that for you. Nobody else can say that for you. So that's the whole point of feeling alone, of feeling like you don't know if it's working. To sit with that uncomfortable feeling. To sit with it. To sit with it. There's a point. There's a point in it. And to feel lonely, like, you know, it doesn't make sense to have released all of these misalignments and then beginning to immediately fill those voids with other things because you don't even know if the other things are fully aligned yet. You're still in your becoming, you're still figuring out who you are now. And that's okay. But it is lonely, and that's okay. But then you become less lonely. But that's part of the preparation. All right, number 2 challenge. Let's see. Well, I guess in general, the thing with challenges is it's a mindset shift. When we are starting over, when we are starting to live from a place of authenticity and alignment, it is very helpful to have this perspective shift that every time I encounter something that feels like a challenge, that feels like a hurdle, a block, it is such a gift. And I know that sounds so annoying, especially if you're going through a major challenge right now. It is such a gift. There is so much information within that challenge. There is so much opportunity to empower yourself and to find your power, to dig up that power from deep within you and literally figure it the fuck out. You can do it. You would not be encountering this challenge if you weren't able to figure it out. The whole point of this challenge is to, I mean, I've already said this, but is to prepare you to become the version of yourself that has this dream life, that is embodying all of the traits that you admire and that you know you have deep down, but you're not able to just flip a switch and just do that when everything is working perfectly. No, we need that tension. We need that friction in order to be able to show up in a new way. If we're comfortable, if things are going well, we're not going to change anything. We're not going to be motivated to change who we are and how we engage with our lives. Like, that's the whole point of feeling uncomfortable, so that we figure out, Well, one, we sit with it so we understand what it is actually saying. And then two, what do we need out of this tension? What is this tension showing me about myself? It is it's seriously okay, here's a challenge. Beautiful. This is actually a gift from the universe, an opportunity for you to show up in a new way. That mindset shift has helped me so much throughout this process. And I think another challenge that comes up is just balancing being gentle with ourselves while also being real with ourselves. You know, if we lean too far into we should have self compassion. But if we lean too far, it's almost like we begin to have this victim mindset. We begin to over comfort ourselves because we're going through something hard. So let me just buy a little bit of this. Let me just um, figure out any creature comforts that I can do to make myself feel better. So, okay, we're trying to find a balance here. Self compassion, being gentle, and understanding with ourselves how we feel, what we're going through, while also being real. Can we be real with ourselves? And I think sometimes that is the hardest part, is to strip away what we think we should feel, how we think we should act, the things we think we should do, and just being like, I know this is what I quote unquote should do. I know this is quote unquote how I should feel, but this is really how I feel. I really feel X, Y, and Z. Even though I love this, even though I can appreciate this, I still feel blah, blah, blah. And I don't understand why right now. But I have to let myself be real. Okay. Those are the challenges. Those are all they're all like, you can figure that out. Those are all you can like, I'd rather have those challenges than the challenges of waking up every day and living a life that doesn't even resonate with me. So, just to recap, just to recap, I think many of us go through these periods where we haven't fully met who we are today. We've kind of made some decisions in the past, and now our reality is catching up with us, and we don't necessarily like what we see. And it's this awakening moment of like, I don't I don't resonate with this. I don't really know what to do right now. And I don't exactly know how I feel. I feel a lot of different things. But I want you to know that I think a lot of us feel like that. I think so many of us feel like that, and we don't know how to put it into words. And we don't exactly know what to do with all of those conflicting thoughts and emotions and beliefs. So sometimes we just numb them, we stuff them down and try to just carry on as normal. But I'm telling you, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. And there is another way. It is possible to reconnect with your intuition. It is possible to figure out what feels true and authentic for you now. And not just on like a need level, but also on a desire level. I think sometimes we think it's not safe to have desires or wants or to want something big for yourself, and it's okay. And we talked about why we would want to start completely over. And this is to feel more connected to yourself in your life. It's to want is to experience more in your life, to create meaning in your own individual life. The process is all about gaining clarity, releasing misalignments, and rebuilding your own foundation in a way that is aligned for you, and taking your time in that process, and being able to overcome the challenges like feeling lonely, not getting that external validation that you're on the right path quite yet, and just having this learning curve of I'm outside of my comfort zone and I'm figuring things out as I go. But just know that those challenges are opportunities for you to step into this newer version of yourself, and honestly, truer version of yourself, because you're actually meeting who you are today versus living a life that was curated by the past versions of you that honestly wasn't aware of what they fully needed. But now you do. So I just want to say, if you are feeling that call, that you're ready for some kind of shift, even though you don't know what it is, like, honor that and trust that. And I am sending you all the best vibes. Like, you got this. Seriously. If you want any support with that on your transformation journey, your path to alignment, please reach out to me. I would love to see how I could potentially support you. We could have a discovery call and chat and connect, even if it's just to give you some good wishes along your way. All right. Well, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of today's episode. And maybe if you want to share anything about your own path of starting over, I would love to hear it. Thanks for being here. Bye.